The world knows Severus Snape was only good because of the promise he made to Lily Potter. That's only half the story. What if I told you that betraying both Dumbledore and Voldemort was driven by a motive bigger than just his love for Lily? After this video, you won't call Snape a hero, you'll call him a master strategist. But here's the question. If the motive was purely Lily's love, why take so many unnecessary risks? But to truly understand this one thing, we must go back, even before the birth of Harry Potter. We need to look at Snape's early days at Hogwarts, long before he took the dark mark. He is the man who lived a life of hatred, yet died in the name of love, Severus Snape. The root of Snape's lifelong conflict was his inferiority complex. The bullying by James Potter and the Marauders was more than just schoolyard harassment. It cemented Snape's belief that he was socially weak, unloved, and unworthy of Lily's affection. James was popular, talented, and the object of Lily's admiration, everything Snape was not. Every time James humiliated him, Snape's resentment transformed into a deep psychological need for superiority. His path to the dark arts was not just about power, it was about finding a space where the popular kids like James held no authority. Lily's final rejection after the mudblood insult was not a simple breakup, it was Snape's final push. His deep-seated hatred and anger were so dominant that they destroyed the very relationship he claimed to cherish, confirming that his loyalty was always to the dark arts before anyone else. To truly unseal Snape's motive, we must consider the character who amplified his hatred beyond James, Sirius Black. This rivalry proves that his motives were always deeply rooted in his personal, unhealed scars. Sirius was not just James's friend, he was the ultimate symbol of the popular crowd who escaped accountability. Snape hated Sirius with a burning, perpetual intensity. Why? Because Sirius was a living, breathing ghost of the Marauders' past. Every time Snape saw Sirius, it reminded him of his own humiliation and the life Lily chose. This hatred was so profound that it often superseded his duty. In The Prisoner of Azkaban, Snape's desperation to expose Sirius wasn't just about protecting Harry. It was a deeply personal, obsessive need for a final retribution against his tormentors. His actions were fueled by the chance to validate his lifelong belief that the Marauders were fundamentally evil. Snape's decision to defect was not a moral awakening. It was a pure panic reaction. The moment he realized the prophecy he delivered to Voldemort targeted Lily, his motive instantly shifted from serving the Dark Lord to saving his prized possession. In the next 5 minutes, we will unseal the secret motive that Snape even hid from Dumbledore. His bargain with Dumbledore was transactional, not ideological. He wasn't interested in saving the world. He was negotiating to save one person. His infamous commitment, anything, was conditional. It was a contract of love, or rather, a contract of possession. When Lily died, the contract was broken, but Snape's fate was sealed. The guilt for delivering the prophecy consumed him. His motive was no longer to save Lily, but to punish himself for his fatal mistake. His subsequent life was a living penance. Snape's role as a double agent was his self-imposed Azkaban. He voluntarily placed himself in service to the man who murdered the only person he ever cared for. He maintained this facade not for glory, but because the constant pain and risk were the only acceptable form of self-punishment for his sin. This motive explains the Patronus paradox. The doe was a symbol of his enduring attachment, yes, but also a claim to Lily. By keeping her Patronus, he ensured that James did not win the final moral victory. It was a secret statement. She belonged to me, not him. Furthermore, Snape had to maintain his loathing for Harry. If he had shown kindness to Lily's son, his overwhelming guilt might have lessened. He actively kept the hatred alive to ensure the emotional burden remained heavy. The pain was the price of his redemption. Harry Potter was Snape's ultimate test, a painful mirror reflecting his greatest failure and his deepest hatred. Harry carried Lily's eyes, Snape's love on James's face, Snape's lifelong enemy. Every interaction was a battle between his past and his path to self-forgiveness. Snape guarded Harry not out of affection, but because Harry was the instrument of his atonement. Protecting him meant fulfilling the promise to Lily. Every cruel remark towards Harry was a psychological release, a way to punish the memory of James without compromising his mission. This shows that even in the act of protection, the hatred was visceral. Snape never forgave James, and by extension, he never fully forgave Harry for simply existing as James's son. Snape died a martyr, but one driven by guilt, not pure love. His heroism was not a choice. It was a burden he undertook to settle his debt to Lily and, ultimately, to himself. He lived a life consumed by his hatred for James and his failure to save the woman he obsessed over. Let's further examine the psychological cost of his double life. The act of spying was not just a job, it was a continuous form of self-flagellation. Snape had to maintain the persona of a cruel, dedicated servant to the man who murdered the woman he loved. Imagine the constant grinding pressure. Every word spoken to Voldemort, every mission undertaken for the Dark Lord was a direct betrayal of Lily's memory. Yet he endured it. This endurance confirms that his primary driver was not survival, but the completion of his penance. He was willing to live in unending agony as payment for his past. His famous cruelty towards his own students, especially the Slytherins, was a deliberate act of masking. By being overtly cruel to everyone, he ensured his loyalty to the Death Eater cause remained unquestioned. The greater the personal toll, the more effective his punishment. This man was trapped in a cage of his own making, and the key was his unbearable guilt. Snape's greatest talent, legitimacy, must be analyzed in the context of his motive. This skill was not just a defense against Voldemort, it was his psychological shield against the entire world. As a master legilimens, Snape could read minds, but more importantly, he could conceal his own truth. This concealment was vital to his self-punishment. If his true motives, his hatred for James, his possessive grief for Lily, and his overwhelming guilt were ever known, his mission would fail and his self-punishment would end prematurely. His attempts to teach Harry occlumency were therefore a subtle form of sabotage. By repeatedly failing Harry, Snape ensured that Harry would never gain the skill needed to penetrate the barrier and expose the truth about his father, his mother, and Snape's own agonizing commitment. The concealment was as much for his self-preservation as it was for the mission. Before we examine the pillars of his motive, we must understand his foundational state, solitude. Snape's life was defined by being alone. This loneliness made his love for Lily possessive, and his hatred for James all-consuming. Snape never formed another meaningful bond after Lily. This was a deliberate emotional shutdown. If he allowed kindness or friendship back into his life, it would complicate the pure, sacrificial nature of his penance. His chosen solitude was the environment required for his guilt to fester and fuel his decades-long double life. In that final moment, he was not looking at Harry. He was looking into Lily's eyes, seeking her silent forgiveness. His last motive was self-absolution, confirming that the debt was paid and he could finally rest. What do you think? Was Snape's always genuine love, or the inevitable outcome of a lifetime consumed by hate and guilt? Let us know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe to the Motive Unsealed for more deep dives into the true intentions behind your favorite characters.